What's going on, everyone? It's me, your glowed up geek girl. Now, today's video is probably going to be one of the most emotional that I've ever filmed. I can say that because just writing the script for this video had me all in my feelings to the point where when I got home from the office yesterday, I had to lay down. I was just emotionally drained. I also want to say, before I get into this, I promise that this channel is not going to turn into here are all of the horrible men Tay's dated. I'm going to share my story with you. One, because a lot of you guys have asked for it. And number two, I feel that it's important to share, especially this particular story, because one, as I was writing the script, I realized that a lot of what happened then mirrored what happened in my last relationship. And two, I really think it's important for people to hear this so that they can recognize when somebody is not truly there for them, has none of their interests at heart, when they have bad intentions, when they're just there to use you. I really want people to be aware, to be cognizant of these signs. I went through it, so you don't have to. I met Rob at Fredericksburg Pride. Actually, Fredericksburg Pride was the first Pride event that I had ever gone to. He was a busboy at the restaurant my friend Tim and my friend Amanda and I just happened to stumble into this particular day. I don't remember exactly what happened. I think I might have gone to the bathroom and Rob had gone up to Amanda and Tim while I was gone and had mentioned that he thought I was cute and he was interested in me, basically. I thought he was cute. I was attracted to him. I didn't have any trepidations like, oh, he's a busboy in a restaurant. No, it was nothing like that. When he had told my friends that he was interested in me, they got excited because I was single, had been single for a while. I think this was months after my last boyfriend, Adam, had gone home to Massachusetts. He had gotten out of the army and went home to Massachusetts. So my friends were like, oh, Tay doesn't need to be single. Here's this guy saying that he's interested in her. He has a job and, there seems to be some sort of mutual thing. So let's push it. It came up in conversation that he had a child and he had done time. Now, if you remember my last video, I had said that those were two traits that I did not want in a partner. And initially I had said, yeah, he's cute, but because of those two things, I'm not gonna go there. We're just not. Those things are not for Tay. We're gonna keep it moving. But Amanda was more of the mind that I needed to give him a shot. Your friends don't always know best, ladies and gentlemen. They really don't. So it got to the point where throughout our lunch, and he and I would speak, but I was keeping it very surface level. I was like, he's got a kid. I don't want somebody that has a kid. He has been to jail. I don't want to mess with anybody that's in jail. No, 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 no. So when it was time for us to leave, and we had paid our bill and everything, Amanda literally pushed me out of the door towards him. She was like, nope, go, he wants to talk to you. He just give him a chance. And she shoved me out the door and he and I went and sat by the river and just started talking. Like, I was trying so hard to maintain this, no, 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 it's not happening because I don't want that in my life. But sitting there by that river, he broke me down. I remember telling him that I had dreams that I wanted to pursue and that's why I didn't want to be with him. I was like, no, I'm planning on moving to New York City, which I ended up doing 2 years later. I want to act, I want to sing, and this man told me he knew Diddy. If you know Diddy, why are you, actually at the time, it's like, if you know Diddy, why are you a busboy at a restaurant? But seeing the way Diddy has treated his artists, it would have made sense to 2020 Tay, but I digress. Sitting by the river with Rob, and he was spinning all these tales and talking really sweet and telling me all of these good things. I didn't realize I was a mark until it was all over. So anyway, we were sitting by the river. He was caressing me, he kissed me, and let me tell you, that kiss was magic. It was one of the best kisses of my life. At the end of the day, we exchanged numbers, but I honestly never expected to hear from him again. After that, I figured I was safe. I was so wrong. He started texting me daily. The texts were so sweet, like, I can't stop thinking about you. I wish I was there with you. He started, this was before emojis, like we all had that little Nokia phone. So he was sending me like text roses, and it was so sweet, and I was so flattered. I ate this shit up with a gigantic spoon. I was like, yes, all of this. And I let it get to my head and to my heart. In days, I was hooked on this dude. If nearly 40 Tay could go back and talk to Tay in her 20s, the best advice I could give her, and I'll get into more of this at the end, the best advice I could give to her is like, please love yourself. Please realize you are worth more. Because at the time, I didn't believe it. During this time, I had been living with my father. My mother and I had left my father when I was 16 in my junior year of high school. But during this time, my mother and I were working together, and I was like, if either I find a new job or I move back in with dad, because my mom and I were at each other's throats. If we had a problem at home, we took it to the office. If we had a problem at the office, we took it home. So I was like, I'll just move back in with dad so I can keep this good ass job and everything will be copacetic. Actually ended up getting another job shortly after moving back in with my father. Big mistake. Made a lot of mistakes in my 20s, didn't we all? Rob had lost his job at the restaurant, and it became my responsibility, I thought, to support me and my love. And the thing about that is, and I'm not gonna put all of the blame on my parents, but it has been proven that we tend to subconsciously recreate the environment in which we grew up in. We mirror the relationship that our parents modeled for us. So my mother, whether she realized it or not, taught me that it's my job as a woman to give up everything, to sacrifice so that my man can thrive. If I don't do anything for myself, if I give up all of myself, all of my money, all of my time, all of my devotion and attention, he will take care of me. Even though I never saw my father take care of that. So because I didn't see that being taken care of on Rob's part, I thought that was normal. I talked to my dad about Rob, like I had introduced Rob to my dad, and a few weeks later, Rob was working with my father, and he was living in our unfinished basement. So you would think this is a sweet deal. Oh, it wasn't. Rob took me to meet his mother, which at the time I thought was a huge deal. Thanks to him and my last boyfriend, I now no longer believe, and you can discuss this with me in the comments, but I no longer believe that somebody taking you home to meet the family is some sort of indicator that the relationship is now serious. I'm introducing them to my family to see how my family gets along with them, to see if maybe this person is the one that's meant to be a part of my family. Like, that's the way I grew up thinking, that when somebody takes you home to meet the family, it's a milestone, it's a marker, like, oh, our relationship is going to take this next step because now I'm spending time with the family. I no longer believe that it means anything anymore. And you can blame Will and Rob. His mother was so sweet. She actually gave me a pair of earrings that first meeting. And I thought that was the sweetest thing I'd ever seen. That his mother is here giving me presents. That had me fall even deeper. Then things took a turn. Now, remember, during this period, I'm paying for our meals. If I'm going grocery shopping, I'm shopping for the both of us. If he says he needs something like cab fare, I'm giving it to him. I think I was making like maybe $10, $12 an hour at the time. I had a car payment. I had student loans. I was living with my dad. My dad wasn't really making me pay rent, but I had to give him like $100 every 2 weeks for gas and water. So I was strapped for cash. You know, I had personal property tax and all of the expenses with the car. So I was spread very thin. I was shopping at Aldi, looking for all kinds of sales because I barely had any money to sustain myself. I didn't care because I was like, this is what you're supposed to do. This is a man I'm going to build a life with. So let me put all of my money into taking care of us. Then he told me that I was going to meet his baby mama. Now, he had told me about her at the beginning, and she lived in Florida. Rob was originally from Florida, I believe. And I never thought I would have to deal with this woman. Apparently, she had a court case in Virginia, and she was going to have to come up and appear in court. He told me that she was going to be staying with us. And at first, I had no problems with that. I'm like, okay, well, obviously they're not together anymore. He's with me. I don't need to be threatened by this woman. He told me that she was going to be staying with him in the basement. He told me that I could not, under any circumstance, give this woman any inclination that he and I were a couple. I couldn't touch him in front of her. I couldn't hug him in front of her. I couldn't call him my boyfriend, my lover, anything like that in front of her, because she was a violent woman who believed that he still belonged to her and she would beat my ass. And I was like, really? Okay. 23-year-old naive me went right along with it without question. Because I was like, okay, this is a speed bump. This is just something I'm going to have to deal with to be with this man. Scratch what I said earlier. If 38-year-old me could go back and talk to 23-year-old me, I would slap the shit out of 23-year-old me. I would shake the shit out of her and wake her up, at least attempt to. I cried myself to sleep every night that she was there. I can't say I wasn't stupid, because obviously, I know people are watching this going like, this chick is stupid. What? I would have done all of this. Don't tell me. I'm like, you should have known that something was going on. I knew stuff was going on, but I pushed it to the back of my mind. I thought, okay, this is going to be a one-time deal. I'm not going to have to deal with her after this. I was right, but not in the way I thought. One morning, I was finally allowed to hug him because she wasn't around. And I saw that he had a hickey. Big ass hickey. Bright red, like stop sign red on his neck. And I was like, oh, what's this about? He laughed in my face, as if I had no right to ask him what the hickey was about. Like, how dare I question him? And he was laughing as if like, I'm not gonna tell you what's going on. You're stupid if you don't know what this is about, you know? I don't think I'd ever felt more stupid in my entire life. I really don't. I think about it now, I realize that this man gaslit the shit out of me. Like, even just with this, it was like, what's that about? And him laughing at me, knowing he wasn't going to explain himself. There was an instance where we had come home from grocery shopping. I hadn't bought a lot because I didn't have a lot of money. So the bags weren't heavy and there weren't that many of them. So I grabbed all of them and brought them in the house. And he looked at me and was like, what am I even here for? What's the point of having a man in your life if you're not gonna let him help you? Okay, but you're not helping me in any way. So why would I think to ask you to help carrying the, you know, it's like you weren't contributing to this relationship financially. Like, you're working with my dad, you're living in my dad's house. Like, I'm helping to support you, but you're not really doing anything for me. This is nearly 40-year-old Tay looking back. Like, I wouldn't put up with this today, but I wasn't strong enough to really act on it. I wasn't strong enough to be like, listen here, my dude, da-da-da-da-da. The only thing I could say at the time was like, listen, there weren't that many bags and they're not that heavy. If I truly needed help, I would have asked for your help. And he laughed at me and he was like, yo, this little African warrior princess thing you got going on is cute, but that's not how you keep a man. Like, he would belittle me every single time I would attempt to stand up for myself. And, you know, I just kept, it got to the point where I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to be torn down. It was just better to swallow it than attempt to speak up and then be knocked down even further. I want to say that this entire farce of a relationship happened over the course of 2 months, maybe 2.5. A couple weeks after the whole thing with his baby mama happened, I came home from work one day and I went into the bathroom and all of his toiletries were gone. I was like, oh shit. I ran downstairs to the basement to confirm, and sure enough, all of his stuff was gone. I can't even say that I was shocked. I won't say that I was expecting it, but I was not shocked when it actually happened. I called his cell phone, and this was, during the time where you could go to 7-Eleven and get, phone cards, because he had like a what would now be known as a burner phone. I called his cell phone, and the only thing I remember saying is it was fun while it lasted. And I sat down on my bed and I didn't cry. I don't remember crying. I think I was shell-shocked. I think I was just way too shocked to cry at that moment. He ended up calling me back either later that day or the next day, and I was like, listen, you can come and get these earrings that your mother gave me, because it doesn't feel right to have them since I'm no longer your girlfriend. And then he said it. This was the moment that I realized that I had been used to the fullest extent. He said to me without hesitation, without taking a breath, "You were never my girlfriend." I really don't remember anything else after that. I don't remember if we had continued the conversation. I don't remember if I hung up on him. I don't. I just remember feeling my heart sink to the floor. And I had never felt more used. I had never felt more stupid. It's one of those things where you sit back and you're like, that'll never happen to me. And it did. It really did. You can sit here and be like, I am this very bright, very talented person, but when there's no core, when you don't live from that place of self-love, stuff like this happens, because there could be big red flags right in front of your face. But because you need someone else's love to feel that you are worthy, you push that to the side. Especially when you don't have healthy reciprocal relationships modeled for you in the home. Sorry. After that day, life went on as it does. I think that was the beginning of me trying online dating, and ended up sleeping with guys that I wouldn't even look twice at today. I never heard from Rob again. I didn't expect to. I was actually thankful that I was never going to hear from him again. I didn't even speak his name or talk about him until January 1st, 2006. I was in New York City because my sorority sister, may she rest in peace, Tracy, and I got this crazy idea to go to New York City to ring in the new year in Times Square. Any New Yorker will tell you that no New Yorker wants to go to Times Square for the ball drop. And I now know why, because I did it. I'm good. I do not need to do it again. It's not as fun as you think. I can make a whole video about that experience if you would like. She had a cousin who was a hospital administrator, and he had an apartment, so we stayed with him. And it was a good time. New Year's Day, I got tricked into watching Saw and watched Diary of a Mad Black Woman for the first time. And funnily enough, as soon as Diary of a Mad Black Woman went off, my phone rang. It was from a number I didn't recognize. I picked it up, and it was Rob's mom. She and I ended up having a conversation for, I think, at least 30 minutes. And she was so sweet. And she told me that the only part of the conversation that I really remember is that she told me that she thought I was so wonderful and she liked me so much that she begged him not to hurt me. She said, I pulled him aside and she was like, please, Robbie, don't hurt this one. And I'm like, don't hurt this one? Does your son, like, I wish I had said this, but I was like, so does your son have a history of doing this to women? What? Where did he learn this? I was like, what? I'm like, I'm not blaming her for her son's behavior, but at some point, like, if you're begging him not to hurt someone, like, you know what he's doing to people. Like, speak up. But, you know, the fact that she tried is commendable, I guess. I don't know how to feel about it now. She asked me how much he had taken from me monetarily. And I said, I think within that whole 2-month period, I spent $700 on him. That was food, that was transportation, that was anything else he needed. I gave him money for it. And she told me that she wanted to pay me back, but I knew I was never going to see that money again. I really didn't expect anything from her. I think I thanked her, and I was like, that would it'd actually be really helpful, so I do appreciate it, but I wasn't expecting this poor woman to pay for the sins of her son. And that was it. The end of that phone call was the end of the entire saga. And I hope that man never touches success. It's like, looking back at it now, it's just like, God, the signs were there. But you don't know unless you're in it and you go through it just how insidious people can be. Like, there are people who know exactly who to go for. There are sharks who can smell blood in the water, and it's true. People like this know exactly the type of people to go after. They look for the ones who are weak, who show signs of not having any boundaries, who don't have any self-esteem, and it makes them easy marks. I was a sitting duck. I was prime real estate for him to move in on. And he got what he could out of me and left. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed that I let that happen to me. And while writing these notes, and I put it on Twitter and Facebook, I realized that I've only ever been with one person that didn't cause me some sort of psychological harm. Please, 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 whether you are in a relationship or not, please learn to love yourself. Please learn to stand on your own so that you have what I didn't have at the time. Because knowing who you are, knowing your self-worth, loving yourself gives you the sword and shield that you need to protect yourself from predators like this. When you love yourself, the alarm bells ring so much louder. The signs are so much clearer. And not saying that people who love themselves and have strong senses of self-worth don't get taken advantage of. They do. Because as this shows me, is that there are people who know exactly how to manipulate. They know how to use words as weapons, and they know how to gain access to those deep parts of you. Trust and believe I am okay. I truly believe there is nothing but better days ahead for me. Look, I'm sitting here, this is 2 videos in a week when I haven't uploaded except for live streams in like a month or 2. So we are making progress. But if you have made it to the end of this video, I truly hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned and took something away from my story. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, all of those good things. With everything that is happening in the world, I'm truly thankful that you spent some time with your glowed up